We can wait for a couple of more minutes. I'm also checking with Shilpi. Otherwise, we will start in another 2-3 minutes if it's okay with Mr. Matthews and Dr. Venkatesan.
I'm fine. I'm comfortable. You can start at your own pace.
Super. So just maybe another couple of more minutes as people are also logging in. Shilpi, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Can you hear me?
Hello,
Hello.
yes.
Good
We are able
afternoon.
to hear you and see you too. Thank you. So, can we start maybe another 1 minute? 4:05, I will start. Okay. If all of you are ready, can I start the program? Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you. I am Saraswati, Secretary General, Madras Chamber of Commerce, and most of you know me. At the outset, let me wish everyone a very responsible Environment Day through the Sustainable Chaining Forum of the Madras Chamber. The Madras Chamber, for those of you who may not be fully aware, this is a 189 years young chamber. Another decade from now, we'll be hitting our 200th year. And it was during our 175th year we started what we call the Sustainable Chaining Forum, mainly with the idea of creating a business case for sustainability. Otherwise, the sustainability those days were talked in individual compartments, civil societies, and things like that. I remember, I recall with great gratitude Dr. Dadatri, who was the first chief town planner of CMDA, the MMDA those days, who said industries have to be part of it and the private have to take equal role. And this is what probably I should say motivated us to start the Sustainable Chennai Forum with 5 pillars, as we always say: water, waste management, energy, urban greening, and transport. And under each of these areas, we have been doing quite a lot of works very silently. We had many roundtables, we had many conferences, we had published papers, and things continue. So in that context, I would say today, being a World Environment Day and this year's focus being combating plastic pollution, which is just now, as Mr. Matthews was mentioning, is a very, very vast subject. There are white views, black views, gray views on those things. So as a chamber, and as I said, we have the objective of creating a business case. This we see as one of the important points for discussion. And thankfully for us, we have 3 wonderful speakers who are going to cover a gamut of topics under plastic. We have Dr. Venkatesan. Welcome you, Dr. R. Venkatesan, who will be talking about the blue plastics and the blue economy, which is very, very important. We had a roundtable, I recall, Dr. Venkat, when we had here, when Ms. Supriya Sahu was there, we were discussing this topic. So he will be talking about that, plastics and the blue economy, risks, responsibilities, and innovations. Welcome you and thanks to you, Dr. Venkatesan. And Shilpi will talk about the circular economy that had been the favorite subject of the chamber with eConnect, where we have done a lot of work. So she would be talking about that, and also more importantly, the compliance aspect, because again, that becomes very, very critical. So that would be touched upon by Mr. Matthew Jose. So all of you, I know very well, and I'm sure the audience here are going to interact a lot on this subject. So I'm really happy that we have got here 3 experts. And to add to that, we have Mr. Venkatachalam Iyer, our advisor for the Sustainable Chennai Forum of the Chamber, who brings with him enormous experience in plastics, in green energy and whatnot. So I would stop here. Welcome you once again. Welcome everyone. And I would now leave to Venkat to give a few thoughts and then kickstart the program. Thanks everyone once again, and request all the participants to keep your audio, video on mute, and you can post your questions in the chat box, and maybe time permits, we can take it online after all the presentations are over. Thank you so much. Venkat, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Saraswati. In fact, plastics and sustainability are 2 topics which are very dear to my heart. Having worked in plastics, I would say plastics are definitely not only a boon, but they are a bane as well. In fact, they offer the huge amount of convenience in terms of packaging, in terms of lightweight, in terms of the barrier properties, and so on and so forth. But the biodegradability aspect does take, that's one aspect, and as well as our irresponsibility as human beings, as a way of we treat plastics, is something which we really need to look at, and I'm sure this session would cover a lot of ground on that particular aspect as well. There is a very scary statistic that we consume about 1 credit card worth of plastics every week. And it's not just us, it is far more for sea creatures, domestic animals like cows and so on and so forth, who consume a whole lot of plastics, and God knows what it does to the our internal, our stomach and so on and so forth. Now, there's always been people have been talking about one-time use plastics. Now, one is things which governments do try to ban is one of the very thin, ultra-thin HMHDPE bags, which you find in the vegetable vendors, the flower vendors, and so on and so forth, which fly around and choke up the drains and so on and so forth, the straws also. And apart from that, there are the LDPE milk pouches, paper cups also, which have a coating of plastics in them. But then there are the other one-time use plastics, which are like the grocery, every grocery item like rice, dal, and every other thing is now packed in plastics itself. These are LDPE with the heat sealable plastics. But apart from that, which also needs attention, because all these, they go into the landfills, and I mean, I'm sure these will be addressed during the course of today's talk. There are laminates. In fact, what more worries me more is the multi-layer laminates and the Tetra packs. They do claim that they can recycle them, but I don't know technically how it is feasible to recycle a 7 or 8 layer co-extruded plastics. Apart from all that, when we cover plastics, we are really talking about thermoplastics. There are thermosets also, which are also plastics like the fiberglass and various plastics which we use in day-to-day life. Of course, those are not really one-time use, but then they can be environmentally damaging when it comes to it at the end of its life cycle. I would also say that paper is also not an alternative because paper is something to do with trees, chemicals, and so on and so forth. Okay, recycling newspaper is all right, but overall, I would say this is the subject for today. I'm sure the fantastic speakers that we have on the World Environment Day would do a great job of doing justice and taking us forward. In fact, I'd like to welcome, start with Dr. R. Venkatesan, who's a professor of practice, Anna University, a former consultant at UNESCO and former scientist at National Institute of Ocean Technology. He's a distinguished ocean technologist, academician, and as head of ocean technology, he's been instrumental in developing various systems for monitoring tsunamis and cyclones and so on and so forth, and for establishing India's underwater observatory in the Arctic. And that's very interesting. I mean, I'd never known about this. He's a Fulbright Fellow and a chartered marine technologist who has worked extensively with UNEP, UNESCO, WMO, and so on and so forth. Also adjunct professor at University of Massachusetts, Dartmouth. And he's got numerous awards. In fact, there's a whole lot of them, including the National Geoscience Award from the President of India, 195 research papers, 10 patents, and so on and so forth. Over to you, Dr. Venkatesan.
Thank you very much. Let me start my uplifting presentation. Are you able to see this presentation?
Yes, doctor.
Yeah. Good evening to everyone. Today I'll be covering about plastics and the blue economy, risks, responsibilities, and innovation. Why the slide is not moving? Yeah. First, I would like to thank Ms. Saraswati for inviting me in MCCI, for giving me this opportunity. And also, I would like to express my gratitude to my former colleagues in National Institute of Ocean Technology. During my tenure there, I have done many of these research work, what I'll be presenting. And in particular, two of my former colleagues and Mr. Kritivasan and a student from Liverpool University who had worked on plastics with me, Ms. Yaini. Now she is doing her PhD there. Now, to start with that, we know very well about this plan. We have two lungs, one about the trees and the greenery is what we talk. Other part is about the ocean. Even now it's proven that the carbon emission, majority of them is absorbed by the ocean, and the ocean and the phytoplankton play a major role. Till 1907, when Bakelite invented the first ever plastic and he synthesized it, and we started consuming it, and way back in 1950, larger production took place. Today, we have 450 million tons of plastic being produced, and it has got a pervasive nature in there. We have everything. We have engineering plastic. We start the day with the plastic, we end the day with the plastic. That is what the scenario. But what is the impact on it, right? As it was rightly said, it is our own behavior. The water we drink is tainted with microplastics. The air what we breathe has got invisible plastics, and the food what we eat carrying a trace of plastic, and the soil what we consume. This is what one of the expert talks about, that soil also requires breathing. That is getting choked by these micro nanoplastics. So we consume what we discard. This is really an important message to start with on today's day, where UNEP is really calling for the end of plastic, in particular the handling of the plastic as a whole. I'm very glad that the MCCI has brought in this topic like awareness, action, and accountability, wherein we should know today's topic the two eminent speakers with me will be talking about what type of awareness and where do we stand, and the action part little bit I will cover. And the accountability is a very important thing where the industry and the government initiatives play a major role. And also I will touch upon as an individual what we are all responsible for that. So the 3 A's, what they have projected is beautiful. That's a correct one for this. Now, what is the pathways of this plastic? We consume, we throw it, and where does it go? And the land-based inputs, many of them comes through rivers. We have large amount of water being brought in by the Ganges, Brahmaputra, and many other rivers. And globally, it is said about 1,800 rivers bring plastic into the ocean. They even come, and during the process, they may even disintegrate it. We may get it as a microplastic or a whole plastic as a whole. Then there are also sea-based inputs which comes to the ocean. The UNEP report talks about 80-20, 80% from the landfall, land-based, 20% from the ships and the fishing boats which passes through that. Finally, there's an alarming situation. We do have plastic transport or microplastic transport through atmosphere, where the atmospheric air passes through that and brings it. So this is the way marine plastic or the plastic in the ocean gets into that. This picture clearly talks about what happens to the plastic when it gets into that. It gets disintegrated, mechanical stress or by the sunlight, for fragmentation take place. Then there's a growth of animals attached to that. It becomes from negatively buoyant, where it cannot float, it starts sinking. And it may get consumed, ingestions by fishes, and it comes back to us on our dining table. And it will remain forever once it reaches the seabed, which is really a place where I'll be showing some pictures related to that. Now, what happens on the surface? We have done some study. We have done about 100 locations along the coast and even in the deep water, surface, mid-water column and the seabed. That clearly shows that there are places where it has got transported, and the quantum of plastic is also very seasonal. We know very well after the monsoon, the rainwater gets into that, and the monsoon riverine flow is much more. That carries large amount of microparticles or microplastics into the ocean, and about in the post-monsoon season it's higher. Now, this is on the surface when you talk about that. The ocean is so dynamic, it has got currents, mainly because of the sunlight falling into that makes the water to flow from the tropical region where we are there to even up to Arctic and return backs. Then we have specific monsoon, which is, we know very well, the rain starts coming in June in Kerala and continues, and we have it in the month of October, November. This monsoonal wind also takes, say, the plastic into the different region. You would have heard about Pacific Gyre, where the water is, the Pacific Ocean has got a gyre, a circulation movement of the water. Even the president of the US, and he mentioned about that. The large amount of plastic got into that, and that was even captured by the satellites. So that is on the surface circulation. Estuary, from the riverine to the deep sea, the plastic movement is taking place. It is so dynamic, you can see that surface upwelling phenomena. It makes a whole thing distributed in different part of the seabed or different water column all over the world. Now, this is the first publication which I was involved way back in 2003, and it was really well appreciated, till now widely referred, wherein we have captured the surface current, how the passing ships, whatever they dropped, has gone to the Great Nicobar. So this is really talked about it. We had a lot of questions related to the paper. That time, many of them did not know about these plastic marine debris into that, and the tribals were using this debris which has fallen into that. So alarming situation. I too have publications on along with the IIT professor, and we wrote an article on another bigger publication on marine plastic. Somebody interested can contact me. Lot more other I have written in Tittam in Tamil, as well as in Yojana related to plastic, which is widely read in many libraries. Now, along the coast, for specific to our region, we have done some satellite tracking study. We have developed a tool by which we dropped it and we allowed that to move. In 2 days, it has reached the Pondicherry coast and moved away. These we call East India coastal current. This coastal current varies and changes the direction. So what we dropped has reached a different part, and we have really proven that, yes, it's not remaining in one place, it gets distributed. Of course, some of them get trapped, it remains along the coast, and some of them go back. Even in that picture I showed you, part of the thing what is deployed also can come back to the shore from the ocean. Now, this alarming picture wherein a fish was caught off Little Andaman during our survey, one of our scientists, he picked it up, and when he cut open, he found a Coca-Cola cap into that. And that is a situation. Practically, we have seen that how far it has drifted away, how these marine animals, Mr. Venkat talked about it, and it has consumed it. I can show the evidence where this has happened over there of Andaman coast. Now, there is another interesting finding wherein one of the scientists from National Institute of Oceanography, Goa, my former colleague, he visited Central Indian Ocean, where it has got a mine site for exploiting the resource of manganese nodule. During his survey at 5 kilometer depth, accidentally he found microplastics or plastic fibers. You'll be surprised to know that where far away from the shore, about 3,000 kilometers from here, how it could have reached there. So now you can appreciate whatever I said earlier. The ocean is dynamic. The movement of water column is so much over there. It's unpredictable where it could have gone over there. So his publication is widely referred. One of the topmost journal, Nature, published about his work. So I'm thankful to him for sharing his research finding to show us that how detrimental what we are doing in a smaller level at our home, or it gets having an impact at 5 kilometer depth. This is an alarming picture. We know very well the deepest part of the earth is Mariana Trench, 11 kilometer deep. So when James Cameron had gone down and dived over there, you would have seen the video. But here in even that depth level, there are plastic which has gone on over there. The worst part is, before the invention of this plastic 6 to 7 decades ago, the mankind did not have an impact on this area, which is so pristine. And the geologists talk about these sediments are 1 million or 10 million years old. They talk in a larger perspective. Even there are reports of the black carbon below these manganese nodules, which are present in the deep ocean. So now the most talked about scientific publication. But we as a human, by our own activity, we have brought in, and this material which has gone over there and settled on will never get dissolved. It will remain permanently over there for them. That's what we call plastic footprint. So another challenging part is the fishing nets, which are widely used for the grill fishing or gill net fishing or trawling purpose. And at times they get cut and they get lost, or at times intentionally they are lost. And these, they are positive buoyant, they get entangled to some of the structures there, and we call ghost fishing, where the fishes get caught and they die. And there are cases where you can see the diver is removing the fishing net on the turtles, which is coming to our shore. So these are all some of the alarming situation. Now there is a talk about how the industry can see that when the fishing net is given to them, can we bring them back on a buyback policy? I'm sure that the government is working and trying to see that they don't lose or they don't leave the fishing nets over there and bring it back to the shore. Now, today's talk about blue economy. What is this blue economy talks about? That it incorporates the technologies and sustainable development on exploiting the resources, combining all these aspects, including today we talk about 90 to 95% of the goods what we consume, they come through the ship transportation. Now, we also talk about fishing and aquaculture, and there is a larger discussion in the industry perspective or the economic part of it. But how we can all bring together, trying to make this system to understand that, yes, there is a commitment towards the environmental aspect or the ecological aspect related to that. In this aspect, recently countries have joined together and signed an agreement called BBNJ, the biology beyond the national jurisdiction, where everybody is involved, even the industry countries are involved with that. Related to that, blue growth is another thing where the novel technologies are there. There is also a blue jobs which are coming up because of this blue economy. Now, this is going to be talked about the 7th largest economy, and the World Bank has spent already about $3.67 billion. And there is a large discussion about harnessing the renewable energy offshore, and even India has got an offshore wind energy policy, sustainable fisheries and aquaculture, smart shipping. You will be surprised to know that unmanned ships are traveling around. The days to come that with the AI and ML, the ships could be controlled over here, and unmanned, it can move around. There are also the ships like electrically powered ships, which does not emit anything. And these things are changing. The climate change aspect also is looking into that. Looking all these aspects, yes, blue economy is going to be the future. There are more focused industries really working towards using this newer technology in this regard. In India, Ministry of Earth Science is where I work for it, and with many other ministries together, the blue economy draft policies have been evolved, and it is made available now. They are brought in with 8 modules like a national accounting framework, I deliver a talk to these accounting experts, CAG auditors in their international training center in Jaipur, wherein there is a larger discussion about how do you natural accounting as well as how do you give value to that. When you talk about a disaster, we get the natural resource and we use it, but the accounting part of is being looked into that through United Nations is also working in this regard. Then spatial planning, we have a land-based planning. The coastal marine spatial planning is a bigger topic where the industry are working together. Already 2 states, Lakshadweep and Pondicherry, that has been worked out by our institute, National Center for Coastal Research, NCCR, and there is a Tamil Nadu government is also keen on that. And marine fisheries and aquaculture development, enhancing manufacturing and trade, logistics part of it, mining and offshore and shipping, and the security aspect, and also the governance. So these are all broader aspects where the blue economy is looked into that, how this is associated in the broader perspective, integrating all these aspects, different ministries and departments working together, sharing their knowledge and data to ensure that the blue economy is beneficial for us. And also there is a linkage to the GDP of the whole countries in the days to come using these blue economy topics. These are all emerging sectors. There is also a beach tourism where the government of India has brought on the blue flag beach certification. You must have heard about that. This again on a sustainable development mode. But herein, slowly I will jump into the plastic part of it. These aspects like a tourism or coastal tourism or the shipping, and also related to these aspects, when there is a large amount of pollution linked to that, that could be a detrimental effect. There is an impact on these, whatever the positive side we are talking about that. Now, our country is so unique. When you talk about the ecosystem, we are close to the equator and having a tropical ecosystem. When you talk about anything, you name it, you have your coral reef ecosystem, you have Gulf of Mannar, and you have Lakshadweep, and you have Andaman. More than 3,000 species are found in this coral reef ecosystem, and they have got about 300, 400 years old, very robust system. You have mangrove ecosystem, you have seagrass ecosystem, and also lagoons and the estuaries, and the largest part of it. And the government of India and government of Tamil Nadu has declared many of these as a protective area or marine protective areas. So with all these things in mind, we have a larger responsibility. Therein the marine spatial planning comes into the picture to look at this aspect, and also the discharge, the carrying capacity of the ocean is such that there is a more control over discharge into that, and that need to be broader and looked into that. And we also have got a desalination plant. So these aspects are more unique, and we need to develop these technologies to work for our region. It's an interesting picture. You would have never seen this. Recently, it was captured by the Smith Ocean Institute. Dr. Jyotika Varmane, thanks to her, she shared this particular picture. This is a group of animals. They are basically an embryo. They have very short life. They don't have like other human beings having a growth in the initial stage. They join together. They're having a different type of colors into the ocean. So what we pollute, that may even affect these, what you call dancing of different colors in the ocean, that may get affected. I'm just showing glimpses. There are many more things which are unknown. I'm writing a Tamil book for the PAB, Press Information Bureau, on Kadalin Adhisayangal, that will be released shortly. So these are all something which we are not aware. What we do may get affected towards that. Keeping this in mind, the United Nations General Assembly really called planet or plastic. It's not that stopping the plastic, but we need to look at how best the disposable or handling part, how the human need to look at it. And this 2021 to 2030 is called the United Nations Decade of Ocean Science and Technology for Sustained Development. Even now, today, One Ocean, One Science, the largest workshop conference is being held in Nice in France, where the countries are working. One of the topics is on these plastics also. Now, what happens to that? What is the industry part of it? And you talk about the plastic waste and also the threats, whatever I said earlier. In the environment and impact part, it is not only the carbon emission alone, the pollution part, the harmful effect, and other aspect, whatever I covered, that need to be looked into it in a broader perspective. Bioplastic, I just thought I'll clarify it to you. It is having like, you have a renewable sources derived from that, like you have a corn scratch and you have a sugarcane, or you have talked about biodegradable plastic. These are all alternate or compostable plastic, how best we can dispose it of. There is a lot of work being done, but still not to the level of successful, and that will be, I'm sure that will be covered. And also the road construction in Tamil Nadu is one of the places where this is widely used, and the Indian Road Congress also accepted that. Now, global initiatives are many. Recently, India and European Union have joined together and work on about $41 million euro related to these aspects to work on sustainable development, including one component. The ocean cleanup is one thing where the industries are involved. There is also interceptor vessels where they collects that. And there is also a plastic fisher, which is a boom, which is widely used in Europe, and that has been successful in controlling that. There's also alternate from the seaweed where algae-based packing materials have been developed. Biodegradable fishing gear, how best it can replace the strength of the nylon is not sure, but there is a lot of work being done or upcycling of the marine plastics is like a startup converting that. Keeping this in mind, there is a Pulse group in IIT Alumni Group, and I joined along with them to discuss about how best these young engineers can be brought in together to develop technology, how to trap these plastic getting into the ocean. I was there in another workshop with MCCA where they were also involved partially with another NGO or trapping these from Kasasthalaya River as well as Coom River, the plastic debris or marine debris getting into the ocean. So in the larger perspective, the days to come, there could be more requirement. We thought we'll involve industry, the startup and related to that. So this work was done in a systematic manner. 8 colleges participated. They really demonstrated in this pool, wave pool in IIT Madras. And now we are looking towards our Pulse group is connecting to the industry and to make it as a working model. There are also such models available globally where these robots which are collecting these plastics are interconnected. They even convey the message one to another where they can conveniently collect about 500 kg worth of plastic and go back and dispose it off safely. So the days to come, there could be more requirement even for the water bodies, lakes, and these type of underwater robots or surface skimming robots are required. Now, what is the responsibility? I thought few points like the FMCG, particularly the packaging sector, they contribute a lot in this plastic, and also the EPR part of it. Even the government of India has brought in the compliance part where the industries are getting registered. So there is a gaps in collection, segregation, and the coastal waste infrastructure part of it that need to be looked into that. This is some success stories. We talked about that part of it. We'll see that like Osaka University has brought in biodegradable plastic. One component here is that you should know that the plastics are made of the atomic or molecular level covalent bonds, which are very strong, carbon and nitrogen base. So unless they find an alternate way in that level, this will be difficult. The Texas teens are brought in like filters. There could be water, what we consume may have a microplastic. They have ultrasonics, ultrasound filters which could be used. There is also a recyclable boards which has been developed by Virginia Tech students. I'm sure that more and more such young minds would come together to develop new technology. The technology only brought us to come as our demand and requirement increase. The plastics are widely used in all the sector. How the same technology would help us to find a solution in the ways to come. Now, I discussed with some of the experts on the industry who I thought I'll bring it to the notice as general. I'm sure that maybe MCCA or some group will take it up in a larger perspective when you talk what more to be done. This is whatever I said, research component is fine. When you talk about degradable plastic or alternate to the plastic, what is being done is thousands of small scale industries are there. And there is a cost part of it which need to be taken up to the government level to have a cost competitive way when these polymers are being initially disposed, unless they make it in the larger level, that there is that cost part, there has to be some sort of the subsidy can be thought in. But still, there is not much done on polylactic acids, which is still being imported. There are no plants available. We are getting from Korea, China, and Germany. And also what they talk about is equipment. When you talk about currently, the equipment are meant only for polyethylene type of thing. They need a smaller level, larger level plants, they can't go there. Then there is a role of enhanced specialized institutions that can be brought in this area to work. What they also said, if there's possible, there's a talk about a biopolymer park, where these testing instruments or smaller level extruder, blow film, they can be brought in together. That way government can encourage this sector to work towards making these biopolymers, and the testing equipment like TGA, DGCA, DSC, or the mechanical testing equipment can be brought in together. More than that, there could be, which is easily doable, is that how do you link these biodegradable producer manufacturers together and that can be brought in so that they discuss among themselves and find a way where they can work together. As an individual, there are about 18 different type of alternate material, which as an individual, we can start changing our attitude or lifestyle using these different tools. You can also Google search and find how best we can avoid like a simple carrying the Meendu Manjapai by the Tamil Nadu government. Such successful schemes can be brought in and effectively used. Unless individual come and take a forefront, this activity would continue. We'll be talking more and more in this regard. I thought I will conclude by saying that Earth provides enough for everyone's needs, but not for the greed. This is what Mahatma Gandhi said. Then, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam's dream of providing urban amenities to the rural areas by in a sustainable way, bringing technology which is economically viable, socially equitable, and environmentally friendly. That's what we talked about. That this is what today's morning United Nations have put in social media. We have stars about 100 billion. But we have more of microplastics. The days to come, it may increase more and more towards that. To conclude, let us drive this momentum, what we are today, to refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle, and also to manage these plastics, to build a cleaner, more sustainable future for the generation to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think we'll take the questions at the end. There are some questions which have already built up. We'll go on to the next speaker, Dr. Shilpi Kapoor Bakshi. She's the Vice President of Environmental Management Center, the seasoned economist focusing on interdisciplinary policy, research, resource efficiency, circular economy, and natural resource management. With evidence-based policy research, she's been a key contributor to India's national resource efficiency policy and Goa's strategy for circular economy. She has led projects on low carbon growth, clean energy, and sustainability. Her wide experience makes her a valuable asset in the field of sustainable development. So over to you, Dr. Shilpi Kapoor, and definitely with such a background, we'd love to hear from you.
Thank you, sir. And I would like to thank MCCI for giving me this opportunity to share my perspectives. And also thank you, sir, for the kind introduction. So what I have done is a lot of the things which I had planned to cover, Venkateshan sir has already touched upon. So I will skip through some of the slides. But my objective is more to look at how circular economy solutions, many of them got highlighted in Venkateshan sir's speech, talk, can actually lead to building accountability and promote and can enable actions from individuals, companies, businesses. So just to start, I hope my screen is visible. Okay, so before we start, I have 4 questions and I'm also going to paste them in the chat. So maybe if we can spend 2 minutes. So how many do you use cloth bags when shopping to avoid bringing back plastic bags? Maybe you can share your responses. Second question is, do you recycle plastic at home? Third, do you carry your own bottle or usable bottle, whether it's your own plastic bottle or a reusable water bottle, which could be plastic, glass, aluminium, brass, copper, when you go out for meetings and conferences? And has anyone lately or knows of plastic-free product that you have tried recently? So substituting your plastic consumption with alternatives. So these are just to get you thinking. Maybe many of you are already practicing a lot of these things. I'm going to now paste these questions and in the interest of time, move ahead. But would be good to see your responses and for the others also to see and learn. So here are the questions in the chat. And I look forward to people interacting over the chat. Going back to my slide. And maybe if we have time in the end, we can quickly go through some of the responses. So in terms of the plastic pollution crisis, I mean, there are a lot of numbers which are there. To just give you one of the commonly used estimate is that we are over 9 million tons of plastic waste generation in India, and we account for 1/5 of the global plastic waste. A lot of it is contributed by the domestic generation, but we also have a lot of imports that are burdening the overall waste management system. In terms of the overall plastic production, it is almost exceeding 350 million tons, and then a significant portion of it does get mismanaged and does lead to plastic pollution. Within India, if we see the trends of, I had data for some of the years beginning 2016 till 2020-21, we have seen an increase in the plastic waste that gets generated. And again, in terms of the generation, also the estimates across the different plastic types have also shown an increase across the types. So be it PET, be it multi-layer plastic, be it other types of flexible plastics. The state variation also in India is significant. So we have states like Karnataka, West Bengal, Maharashtra accounting for significant generation, whereas there are states like Punjab and Madhya Pradesh where the average plastic waste in terms of the tons is relatively lower. The recognition on plastic waste being a key issue has been pretty much gets pretty much reflected in the way government has taken forward the agenda, which is through kind of strengthening the rules on plastic waste, bringing in different elements which promote responsible behavior or kind of mandate responsible behavior by different stakeholders, be it producers, manufacturers. And there we have seen a lot of emphasis coming on reduction of increasing the minimum thickness of plastic bags, phasing out multi-layered plastic, doing away with single-use plastic. Extended producer responsibility is a key approach or an instrument that has clearly got sight into the plastic waste management rules, which has also set targets to not just channelize plastic waste for different end-of-life treatments, but now also on recycling versus burning, targets also on the reuse of plastic in the manufacture of new plastic packaging. There have been awareness and public awareness campaigns. For example, we had the Beat Plastic Pollution at World Environment Day 2018. There have been also a lot of cleanup drives, whether taken at city levels, by businesses, by individuals, community organizations, to not just sensitize people to the challenge that we are facing related to plastic waste, but also to get them thinking to how you can reduce that. Because if I, as an individual, go participate in beach cleaning activities, I can very well see the common plastic waste categories that I see there, and how probably through my responsible action at the time of disposal, I could actually do away with that waste coming into the streams. There are also initiatives through structured programs like the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, which are focusing on waste management, environmental sustainability. And in the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan 2.0, there is significant emphasis on reduction of plastic waste generation at the urban local body level. Also, banning of single use, we are all familiar with plastic waste rules, extended producer responsibility, I've already mentioned. There are also task forces at the national and state level established under the Chief Secretary leadership, which are trying to ensure coordinated elimination of single-use plastic within the states, across the states, and comprehensive action plan development. Mission Life, which has assumed a lot of importance also and is also trying to encourage pilot actions around plastic waste reduction, is playing a key role. Also, Mission Life focuses on changing demand through individual actions, influencing supply chains, bringing policy shifts. So it's targeting all the key stakeholders, whether as users of plastic, supply chains that are kind of being a key user again, supplying products and packaging to to businesses, and policy which can play a key role. State-wise, if we see again initiatives, there are a lot of initiatives along trying to align with the national level push, but also going step forward in trying to be benchmarks or be good role models. For example, if we look at Sikkim, it became the India's first fully organic and plastic-free state, which is setting a benchmark for comprehensive transformation. And if I have myself at my personal capacity heard from many people who have been to Sikkim saying that it's so clean and people are so conscious about not mismanaging waste that is getting generated. So even if you are sitting in a taxi in Sikkim, the taxi driver will tell you that I will get penalized, so please don't litter, give it to me. And so these are actions at individual level which can really promote more accountability and lead to a reduction in plastic waste. When you look at circular economy actually can give you solutions along the entire life cycle of plastic, and can then thereby facilitate or enable more responsible plastic waste management. can also ease in plastic waste management. So for example, Venkateshan sir spoke about alternatives. So if you look at the source at the point where plastic products gets manufactured or packaging gets manufactured, there are multiple renewable alternatives now. Well agreed that these alternatives are still not that popular. But then again, that's where the opportunity is to popularize them, to make people, businesses aware of those, to create demand so that these alternatives production can be scaled up and they become as price competitive as their other, like the plastic products. Then redesigning, for example, for quite some time, we were actually using mono materials and not multi-layer packaging material for packaging many of our food products, but then slowly move into MLPs, where they do provide lot of convenience, they do provide longer shelf life, but can redesign happen of both packaging and products? And again, where redesign also takes into account the right material choice, the right material combination, looking at it from the perspective that at the end of life, when the product has to be dismantled or the material has to be recovered, how that can be facilitated or ease enabled. And then production of plastic again can be made through renewable sources, where you reduce your consumption of energy during the production, you make it low carbon. Then of course, consumer use around for plastic products and packaging. There are different business models which are kind of enabling consumers also to participate. So whether it's business models around reusing plastic products, whether it's business models around sharing. So again, there are these business models there, but then there is scope to bring about other kinds of models and scale up the existing models. And then, of course, if we look at the end of life recycling through, before recycling, even look at remanufacturing, refurbishing as options. So can that be done? Can parts, components be restored and used to make a fresh product rather than going to a stage of recycling where you recover the material? But if refurbishing, remanufacturing is not possible, then looking at recycling through different modes. So when we look at, say, circular economy solutions, so all these opportunities or approaches is basically trying to promote a regenerative economic system, which focuses on transitioning from take, make, dispose to take, make, use, regenerate resource models. We are looking at redesigning the production and consumption systems, and also looking at it overall as a new model for development and green economy. And in fact, plastic has been one of the key materials, plastic waste being one of the key waste streams where circularity has actually found a lot of penetration in trying to address the problem. In terms of opportunities, many of these have got highlighted, but as individuals, I would still like to highlight a key starting point is source segregation. So we use plastic products of different kind, but if we can get into the habit of segregating them so that when they are disposed out from our end, they find easier ways to get into their respective value chains, and they are still clean. So recovery of material or potential to convert that material, whether through upcycling, refurbishment, remanufacturing, is higher. Redesign, of course, plays a key role, particularly of packaging material, where you can kind of even look at the size of the packaging material, the quantum of material that is going into packaging. Innovative technologies which can enable better segregation when the plastic products or packaging becomes waste. Upcycling, converting plastic products end of life into various useful products like tiles, boards, and this is commonly happening now, where plastic waste, particularly the difficult to recycle plastic waste like MLPs, are being used to make these value-added products, which could be tiles, boards, even pavement blocks. We also need to have more technologies where we can look at converting plastic waste into energy, oil. There is now this whole market like carbon markets for plastic credits, where you can then again incentivize different businesses to come forward to participate in the market to become more accountable for the responsibility that has been put on them through the EPR. Then tracking of what plastic is going into making a product, where the plastic waste is going, can also kind of foster more responsible management and action. In terms of accountability, also, there is a lot of push also coming on corporate responsibility. So if we look at businesses, they are being made to report and disclose on their plastic use and also the waste management practices. So if you look at the BRSR, which is one of the mandated ESG disclosure for currently for top 1,000 companies by market cap in India, but many other companies are also resorting to this disclosure. They specifically asked you to disclose on plastic waste along with few other waste streams. Sustainability reports are becoming one key avenue through which companies and businesses are coming forward to highlight what they are doing. And there again, there's a lot of focus on initiatives that are being taken to reduce the plastic waste. This again overall improves companies, businesses to reduce their plastic footprint. The companies have also got into setting reduction, recycling targets, getting into innovation. So this not just enhances their performance in terms of their environmental outcomes, their social outcomes, but is also building their image, fostering brand reputation, drawing investor interest. There are a lot of circular economy models also by different businesses, which could be around redesigning their products, setting up reverse logistics related to their products and packaging, which are also promoting, again, accountability or kind of enabling accountability on part of the on the businesses. Public commitments, we have seen many of the top FMCG companies coming forward to reducing their plastic waste, to taking pledges on the use of recycled plastic. Consumer push for transparency and traceability is also something that is building in a lot of accountability. So whether it's consumers' demand on clear labeling, so how much is the quantum of recycled material used, what is the environmental footprint, traceability, digital platforms that are enabling to understand the entire supply chain linked to plastic products. And once the plastic product or packaging becomes a waste, to see how it is ultimately getting managed at the end of life. And people, individuals, companies, they're more keen now to become aware. And I think that's one of the reasons we are also all here together, that building awareness, need to get aware, need to get sensitized is coming across very significantly. EPR, which Venkatesan sir also mentioned, it's a key opportunity. And again, it presents opportunity along the entire life cycle by putting responsibility on the producer. But again, for the producer to implement that responsibility, certainly it has to be shared action. So producer can do certain things, and then there has to be shared action undertaken by we as consumers, policymakers as setting incentives, mandates. So along the entire life cycle, you see EPR as being presenting key opportunity. A life cycle perspective again relates very closely to this whole approach to look at plastic waste management, plastic pollution from the angle of life cycle analysis, where that life cycle analysis, life cycle inventory not only will come in as a tool, but that entire life cycle thinking can kind of lead to more holistic solutions and prevent the siloed approaches to addressing the problem we are looking at. When I mention business models, again, there are multiple models which are there. I've highlighted few. So for example, we have Khilone Wala, which is looking at renting toys and games. Around product extension, we have recycling, we have dematerialization. We also have products which are encouraging consumers to think. So for example, we have edible cutlery from dough, from rice and wheat. Redesigning where bottles, for example, Coca-Cola has redesigned its bottle to become fully recyclable, is increasing the use of recycled content. So again, there are many more, which I've just highlighted few I knew of. But the idea or the key message is that given that the innovative thinking we as individuals and businesses possess, it's important to translate that into actions through actually designing business models, redesigning existing business models to make a difference. We also have models around repair and refurbish, reprocessing, reuse. Sir, again, Venkatesan sir had highlighted about plastic roads. So again, there is push to use plastic waste, including difficult to recycle plastic waste to make roads, paver blocks, plastic to fuel. We have seen options. Again, better plastic, more sustainable plastic, where you make it out of recycled resins. Again, integrating the informal sector, which is a key player in the entire value chain of plastic waste management, or where if you want to reduce plastic pollution, actions not just by the users, but also actions and integration of the informal sector, which is a key player in the management of plastic waste, will be important. We have commitments in the form, for example, commitment on our recycled PET. We have something called Green Gold by Reliance Industries. Youth can play a key role. I mean, they can not only guide through their technical inputs on policy design research, conducting policy impact assessments, but engaging with different stakeholders to identify circular solutions and how they can be implemented. Youth and others also can set example through a sustainable way of life. Rethinking becomes extremely important. When we look at different R's under circular economy, rethink comes in one of the top R's, that even before you think go into reuse, do you want to rethink whether you even want to use a particular product? Can you move to another product? So this becomes extremely important. Skilling and training, capacity building to be able to make that difference. To set up business models, it's important that the right mentorship happens. So I would like to say it's time to rethink what we consume and how we produce. But so can we bring about a parivartan? So parivartan is change. So can we bring about that change? And there are a lot of examples where communities have come together, where individuals and communities have come together to make a change. So I'll highlight one from Dadar area in Mumbai. I mean, it's very close to where our office is, where there have been initiatives taken in a particular lane. So Madhli Gali is the name. Individuals have come together and they, on a regular basis since last, I think, over 2 years, have been trying to promote these different arts through actions. They are sensitizing their communities. They are facilitating and implementing our different arts. And they have, I'll show some statistics. They have managed to collect, I mean, this is a slightly old statistic, but in 2022 itself, they managed to collect significant amount of waste, which included plastic waste, e-waste. And this is purely through initiatives of individuals. There is no government involved. I mean, one person came forward, gave their garage where they would assemble every weekend to bring the waste. And once people started getting sensitized, the word started spreading. So similarly, there are actions that we in our communities can undertake. Phasing out of single-use plastic, again, is something which is happening. Government is taking a big role. But again, there are ways in which you could engage with other stakeholders, for example, with restaurants on no plastic straws or biodegradable packaging. So these are opportunities where community engagement, stakeholder engagement can actually facilitate a change. Another way is to look at responsible disposal, or facilitating responsible disposal is setting up reverse vending machines for different kinds of waste. Currently, I know if I have a textile, if I have, say, a cloth waste at home, I don't know where to send it. I mean, I either pass it on to my house helps, or if it's not of their use, I just mix it with my common household waste. But if there are opportunities, or there are facilities or vending machines where I know I can hand over my waste, be it different types of plastic like MLP. I mean, we all eat chips, biscuits at home. But we rarely find an opportunity to send it for responsible end-of-life management. So it gets mixed with our dry waste. Most commonly gets littered post that, because there is still a weak value chain as opposed to, say, a PET bottle. But again, there could be these ways in which you can ensure or facilitate responsible disposal. So I think that's it from my side. I hope I was able to convey some messages and encourage and motivate some action.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Shilpi Kapoor. That was very interesting. In fact, a lot of area covered in terms of what we need to do as an industry, as well as people, responsible people. I now move on to Mr. Matthew Jose. He's the founder and CEO of Paperman. Mr. Matthew is an Ashoka Fellow of Forbes 30 Under 30 Honorary, and also a US Department of State IVLP alumni. He's a plastic compliance expert and a 3-time TEDx speaker, pioneering social entrepreneur and environmental advocate, who's known for his contributions to waste management and circular economy solutions. Paperman is committed to achieving a zero landfill future by integrating informal waste collectors into the formal recycling system. He has generated over 100,000 plastic waste credits for leading industrial Indian brands through extended producer responsibility while creating meaningful livelihood for waste workers. So, Mr. Matthew Jose, we are eager to listen to you and all the initiatives that you've been taking.
Thank you so much. Hi, I'm just going to share my screen. Yeah. Is my screen visible?
Yeah, it's visible, but it can be on the
No,
slide
slideshow.
presentation mode. Yeah.
Let me just look at this.
Need any help, Matthew, from our end?
No, I think it should be fine. I'm just trying to
Okay.
get the.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's now. I think it's visible now, right?
It's fine. It's fine now.
Hi everyone. Thank you for this invitation. My association with MCCI has been quite a long time now. So I started my company Paperman in Chennai in 2010. So as a 21-year-old, right out of college, wanting to do something in the plastic waste management space, and generally waste management as such. And at the 21-year-old, you think that I think in 2-3 years, that time my plan was in 2-3 years I will change the waste management industry. I will make everything all right and move out and go do my masters. That was the idea, to be honest, and at a 21-year-old, right after graduation. And over the years, now I've been in the industry now for about 15 years now. And every year what I realize is how far further away I am from what I thought when I was a 21-year-old, right? It's just the size of it.
Matthew, can you increase your audio? One day I am hearing it like that, a little feeble.
Oh, I'm
You
sorry.
can
Is
increase
it
the
better now?
volume if
Is it
possible?
more audible?
Yes, you
Okay.
can increase the volume. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that is the I think the learning since 2020, and we've been, as an organization, we've been helping a lot in the extended producer responsibility space. That's an area that we've been specializing in since 2020, and we feel this is a great area that for the country, through the 2016 government rules, plastic waste management rules the government brought in. This is a great area where a massive change has happened as well in the last 4-5 years in plastic handling, from prior to before, right? Before me, the two speakers, they spoke very well about the challenges. Mr. Venkatesan deep dived into how plastic affects the ocean, and the entire facts around it, so alarming. And those stats are like crazy. What do you say about the stars and the microplastics in the ocean? It's a very alarming data, right? And Dr. Shilpi wonderfully explained about the circular economy options, and that's what's happening, the innovations and the challenges in the space. And I'm going to deep dive something into which I believe, in my time in the waste management industry as a game changer in terms of plastic waste management. And I have a lot of respect and kudos to the government for bringing something like this forward. I know it's not been an easy, EPR is not a nice word for a lot of people. It has not been the easiest of implementation scale, but I think this has been one of the most collaborative actions to combat plastic waste at scale, because it directly goes and connects it from the users or the makers of this plastic, right? And that I think is a great way the government has brought this rule into place. So just to give a brief context of what these rules were, right? 2016 is when the plastic waste management rules come. This desk is a little understanding. There's a 2023 amendment and 2025 as well, which is going to be coming in July as well. But to just give you an overview, 2016 was the year the main plastic waste management rules came into being. I would say this is the most instrumental year, and everything else is an amendment or an activity on top of this. So 2016 rules, 2018, 2019 brands started implementing the early thing. But if you look at from the behind, the first rules around plastic waste happened in 1998, and this was around the plastic recycling usage rules. And then further drafts happened, further racing came, but the most instrumental rule, and even the 2011 rule was a guiding factor, but the most instrumental rule in plastic waste management history, I think in India, is definitely the 2016 rule. And that rule has really changed the way, and the ownership and the stakeholders largely increased. The minute you introduce something like an EPR, the whole economics of this whole industry, everything changed with that rule. So, so I just want to highlight on that. What is EPR and who are the main key terms in this industry, right? EPR basically stands for Extended Producer Responsibility. This was brought in the early 2000s in Europe, and it has been a phenomenal success in the European market. America is still a laggarhead in implementing EPR. They just started in a couple of states this year. India's welcomed it really well, and the last 8-9 years, the EPR has moved across 30,000 plus producers, importers, and brand owners across the country. So PIBO is a key word. So as you get more into EPR, you will learn what this is about. It's a producer, importers, and brand owners are known as PIBOs. PWPF is a plastic waste processing facility. So this gives a good understanding about what are the rules the PWPFs have to follow. There are private PWPFs and how they are able to generate credit for the plastic that they collect and process and recycle, and how that credit can be purchased by PIBOs. The entire framework was built within EPR. PWM starts for plastic waste management. Predominantly, I think 95% of plastic waste will handle in called categories. Category 1, 2, and 3. I'll explain that in a little detail as well. But importantly, these are the key players in the plastic waste cycle as per the EPR rules laid down by the government, right? In Dr. Shilpi's presentation, we heard that there are 9.3 million tons is the amount of plastic we are putting into the market every year, right? 9.3 million ton is a huge, I want to say in like visual basis, this is like really huge. You're talking about one truck that is able to carry about 10 tons of material. You're talking about 1 million truckloads of plastic that's been missing, right? And how do you track them? How do you understand where this is ending up? What are the solutions at scale? Who can consume this at scale? And how is that you ensure that there is a better life cycle to these things? These are key questions which is not easy to answer, right? To be honest, it is not easy to answer what is the right solution. It is very difficult to say what is the right solution. It is what is the best solution in this time and this time frame that we are living in. So sometimes we say, hey, can we make it into second-hand products, right? But how much of this 9.3 million tons can we make into second-hand products? How feasible is it? How viable is it? How people will buy onto these products? So it's very, very critical to answer these questions. We don't have all the answers at this point, but I personally feel EPR is a great policy that is shaping this answer as we are going. I think we're still 10-15 years away from the real answers, but I think it's in a very good form right now to shape those answers. What do you mean by being EPR compliant, right? For all the companies, it is a mandate to register yourself with the State Pollution Control Board or Central Pollution Control based on your eligibility. That is based on whether are you operational in one state in this country or in multiple states. If you're operational in multiple states in this country, you register with the CPCB. Then once you register, there is a based on your plastic usage in your product, right? So this entire 9.3 million ton is some company or some producer or manufacturer producing it or importing it and sending it to the same, right, market. So based on what you are producing in that particular year, you are given an offset goal by the CPCB portal, and there's an entire portal managing this, and against that you file your annual returns. Every year you say, okay, hey, this is my offset goal, and against that offset goal I have filed this annual return every year. So that is the basics of EPR. What is EPR compliance? Who needs to do EPR compliance? Producers have to be sync. So there's a virgin plastic supplier who gives it to sells to the producer. So virgin plastic supplier is not in the EPR purview at this point. It is a producer who is then supplying it to the brand owner, and then it comes to the market. In some cases, it's imported from other countries, bought in from other virgin plastic producers in other countries, and then goes to the brand owner. In that case, the importer and the brand owner are responsible. And in some cases, the direct importer to the market as well. So this is a chain in 3 different ways in which EPR responsibilities lies as per the EPR rules. Now, what is categories, right? What is your type of waste that is divided into those categories? Category 1 are plastics which are rigid in nature. It's mostly the bottles, jars, cups, etc. Like, your Coke bottles, Pepsi bottles, your medicine bottles. All these are in category 1 as per the CPCB nomenclature for EPR. Category 2 is flexible. These are single-use plastics, which is milk packets, LDP covers, sheets, etc. And category 3 is multi-layered plastic, which is your Tetra Paks, your milk, the milk carton box milks that comes in. All that comes under the Cat 3 category. This thing. So these are the 3 categories in which there are category 4 and this thing as well. But I'm not, because it's not a large thing. I'm not going into it for lack of time and for better focus. About 90-95% of the entire plastics will get covered in the category 1, category 2, and category 3 areas, right? What is the obligation? So how is it, like, say now from all these presentations that we hear, there is no doubt about the challenges plastic waste is going to process, right? But how does a government, or how do in a large scale we be able to ensure that this can be mitigated? Because 9.3 million tons not handled this year is 18 million tons next year, right? And we've been not handling for a very, very long period, right? So it's every year this is adding up to the next year's thing, right? And at a point the scale becomes so large, and how do you handle that? So this is as of now the method. There are some changes as per the 2025 rules. There will be some changes in the recycling content usage from this thing, but moreover, just to get an idea of it. 2021-22, if you were using 100 tons of plastic in your product as a manufacturer or a producer or an importer, you had to offset 25% of that. 22-23 was 70%. So it was a pure play offsetting, right? You basically, if you are producing, you should ensure that you're collecting it, and it can be, it can be end of life recycling, whatever, however that needs to be. Mostly end of life recycling can be itself is done for everything, right? So up until 23-24, it was 100% offset in just by ensuring that the plastic material is collected back, and it's used in a cement kiln or a waste to energy plant or anywhere where it is just used up as a fuel, right? So burned up. This is a lot more easier because it was a start, and I think it was a great way that the government planned it towards an initial start, because it helped to set the systems in place, right? Then this EPR rule gets ambitious every year, right? And on 24-25, the rule came in being that 50% of category 1 needs to be recycled. And category 1 in India, it's already existingly 95% recycled. In India, it's always been recycled, category 1 PET. PET, and PET is the largest in that category. Category 2, 30% needs to be recycled, and category 3, 30% needs to be recycled. Now, this push, that means MLP, we need to have recycled solutions for MLP. Now, this pushes the gaps very clear where the gaps are, because this framework allows us to see, okay, this is where the mistakes are, or these companies are not able to make these targets. Why? Because these credits or offsets are not available now. If these offsets are not available in the market, which means that there is no there is not enough infrastructure available to do this. Why is there not enough infrastructure not available to do it? Because is there capital available to implement it? Is there are people able to take loans from the banks for implementing this, or do we still have dearth of innovations, or is it not feasible, right? So all these questions keep rising up because these norms were there. I'm not saying this is the easiest, because a lot of companies go through a lot of challenging times during this because they're not able to get these exact offsets, right? In 2025, the rule came that 10 in reuse have to be done, which is this year, which is a big part. Like, for example, let's say take Godrej as a company which has the mosquito all out repellent, right? Now they need to there's a way which they have to reuse those bottles as well. So that comes into place for category 1 and mostly in category 1 area. And then recycling again is increasing every year, is increasing by 10%. And then also the use of recycled content is coming into place, which means if you are making a plastic bottle in India today, you need to have 30% of an old plastic bottle that was used earlier and recycled content in that plastic bottle, which is a great pushing again. So each of these categories, reuse, recycling, and recycled content, is pushing the landscape of plastic recycling in this country. I'm not saying the answers are there, but it's creating the guideline, it's creating the framework for the right kind of investments and the right thinking that is required, even for companies from a production stage in itself. Because this changes everything, because if you have to bring reuse into place, you have to make the packaging in such a way that it is reusable. If you have to bring recycling content into place, you have to initially itself make your product in such a way that it can take in more recycled content as it goes, right? So it is changing the way the plastic is manufactured in itself in this country, right? And I personally feel, like I said, over the next 10-15 years, this is really going to see the impact, and I want to live I'm very hopeful about this rule, and seeing the future about it. And what is required now? There is also a large challenge in any industry where in India, where there is offsets that's required, there's a lot of issues in terms of fake reporting. That is a huge challenge, and I think that is an area which again will be addressed as we keep going. The best practices that needs to be brought into the collection space, right? There needs to be proper documentation proof. Today, a lot of companies, what they do in many areas, what there have been reports that's happened is companies create fake reports of offset, and those offsets defeats the whole purpose of this beautiful scheme, right? And many brands, by mistake, without knowing, are buying these credits, and where fake papers are created, and they've been missing. And over time, this will be caught. There have been a few instances where a few brand owners have been, PWPFs have been caught in this instance by Pollution Control Board. But it is a challenge that we need to beat, because this is such a beautiful scheme, and ensuring the best practices are followed is very critical for this to change, right? And so I personally feel that is a key area. So there's a CPCB portal. You can go in and check on it's called EPR Plastic CPCB portal. You can see all the information regarding EPR in this thing. And as citizens and people of the thing, I would urge everybody to know more about this rule and this policy, that you all back the support and create more auditors in whichever field you are in, create more value for this particular rule I think it's critical. It is just a briefly to us what we do. We basically handle plastic waste collection. We work with urban local bodies. We work with PWPFs, and then we ensure the compliance is in place for all our clients in mostly FMCG brands and more. And yeah, so that's what we personally do in this space. And thank you so much for this opportunity. Yeah, thank you. And questions, I think.
Thank you. I think I must thank all the speakers for covering a huge amount of ground in the limited time that was available, and very, very informative as well. I'll quickly go over the questions. That some of the questions are there in the chat box. Question from Arjun Sharma. He says, can we make more plastic recycling efforts like some companies like EcoCari is making recycled from products from recycled plastic? How can we persuade people to adopt alternatives of plastic like bamboo, jute, and options? Many options are there.
I think any of you can take the questions. Am I right?
I think,
Venkat?
yeah, it's not just to, I think this question was raised during the time of the first speaker, so it probably.
Mr. Venkatesan can take it if he wants.
Yeah, you can tell me.
Yeah, the question is, can we make more plastic recycling efforts like some companies like EcoCari, who's making products from recycled plastic? How can we persuade people to adopt alternatives of plastic like bamboo, jute, and many options which are there?
Correct. I think Mr. Matthew has answered about that recycling. There are limitations related to that. The category 1 part is effectively done, and the other part, there is still work being done. That is on the recycling part. Yes, it's a behavioral change when you talk about using bamboo or alternative. Now the things are happening, in particular in the schools and colleges and the younger generation. This awareness is coming. I'm sure that the days to come that will be changed. So we all have to make this effort. That's the purpose of these such meetings, and I'm sure that will be taken care in the days to come.
The next question is Dr. Basant Kumar Jena. How to stop plastic pollution if the source of plastic production isn't stopped or significantly reduced? It will be incredibly difficult to reduce or eradicate plastic pollution.
Yeah,
I think Mr. Matthew Joseph also covered.
I know. The main part is what he is telling is that how do you ensure this? What I'm telling, we have to see that source into the sea, particularly for the marine related thing. You have to stop it. That's what there is a collective effort should be there, and also the mechanism like the corporation and other municipalities should ensure that the disposal part and the individual come together. So it's all collective effort, and that is what will then answer for this particular question.
And also, it's been answered by Dr. Shilpi Kapoor also. That's.
I can add to this as well. See, as in we all have, I think in thought leaders in the plastic waste space, I've been in a lot of conferences and, where we discuss a lot about plastic, and, we all have very strong views around this, right? But eradication of plastic waste, to my understanding, I can say it's impossible. I personally feel so, right? And I think sometimes we have to work with a realistic bar. Every single product, I think Mr. Venkatesh also covered in a thing, everything from the morning toothbrush to the night when you go to sleep, every single product that we touch upon plastic, right? It's such a wide scale, and you're talking about so many billions. You're all like so many billions of us in this world, right? It's critical to learn how to work with this product. Yes, we started working with this product without having a great manual about it, right? We only knew the manual to make products and sell it and send it, and we didn't have the manual on how to handle the waste that comes out of this product. So today, the world, we are working towards it. It is a collaboration. Can we tell companies like Coke, Unilever to stop producing things because we consume these products, and these companies exist because of our demand for these products, right? So it is about how do we collaborate and there will be a lot of discussions and issues and challenges around it. Even and platforms like MCCI organizing this talk, and creating this venue platform for over hundreds of you to come and be a part of this learning. I think it's all collaboration. This is all in the making, and maybe one of you who's listening to this will be the next speaker in the next year, and it's just a way that we all collaborate to create a better result, right? So yeah, so personally I believe eradicating plastic is impossible. Realistically working and creating the policies that we can have to make sure that we manage it is possible.
In fact, two comments from Dr. Shilpi Kapoor. By ensuring responsible disposal and creating a reverse value chain for used plastic products and packaging, we can significantly reduce plastic pollution. And also we can sensitize and build awareness and foster tie-ups to ensure scaling of such initiatives that can help make their pricing competitive. Okay, the next question from Yarini is basically about, are there any methods or processes to identify and remove plastic, microplastics from the oceans as well?
That's a big challenging job. People have to work on it to remove that. It's a big job. Estuary, they started working on it. Riverine region, they worked on it.
Okay.
Anybody wants to add to that? Shilpi or Jose, you are welcome to add any comments for any of the questions.
Yeah.
I think I read once somewhere about some kind of an enzyme treatments and some filtrations. But again, microplastics, given the size they are of, it's a big challenge. And oceans are so big, so it's not even a restricted environment from which you can remove. So I think the bigger objective should be to now reduce the leakage of plastics and microplastics into our water bodies. But given the kind of products we use, even in a lot of cosmetics, we have microplastics. So the change needs to be brought about. Alternatives need to be there to be able to prevent the generation and then the potential leakages that can happen. But I'm sure there would be technologies going forward which could kind of at least enable the removal, at least at the initial stages where it's entering into the water bodies.
Yeah, I think it's more about prevention than letting it and trying to solve it at a later stage. So how to discourage use of single-use plastics, which is still being used widely by the public? Should we take it more through a public fora? This is one question to Amba Prasanna.
Yeah, I would like to add. So I have seen lot of the action around reducing single-use plastic is being also encouraged through schools. And I see, I'm mother of two small kids. The difference that they have understood in terms of single-use, multi-use plastics. They play a strong role in even influencing my purchasing. So like both my kids have moved to now bamboo toothbrushes because they were taught about the same in school. There was a cost benefit also told them in terms of trying to teach them the monetary, the economics also. So everything, so sustainability is profitable, is something also right messaging that the schools are doing. So I think the youth, the schools, the academic environment can play a key role in motivating, encouraging, because we cannot always rely on enforcement. And in a big country like India, where enforcement has always been a challenge, a stick may not always work. So it has to be incentives, it has to be sensitization, it has to be motivation. And I think we are all receptive to that.
Yeah, Arjun Sharma has commented that satellite remote sensing, aerial surveys, spectroscopy, and thermogravimetric analysis can be used to monitor them. Okay, then.
Correct. That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the others, there's cloth bags are being used, of course. Of course, your question about who uses cloth bags, do you recycle plastics at home? Do you carry your own bottle to a meeting and conference? I think very valid questions. I think most of them probably would have said, yes, we do use cloth bags and we do recycle plastics at home, but I don't think we carry a bottle to the conferences. I think we just go to the conference and look forward to a plastic bottle. And most places have replaced them with glass. Refillable glass what do you call these tumblers over to work. So jute bag was an alternative. Of course, it had been jute bag was one area which was used to pack sugar, rice, and so on and so forth, completely replaced by thermoplastics like HDPE or polypropylene woven sacks. I think it's completely been replaced
Yeah.
by
So here I can add one more example. Again, I'm telling you from my personal life. So a lot of these larger retail stores like West Side and Shoppers Stop, they did it away with plastic packaging, and even the paper bag they offer give it to you at a price. And it's not too much, it's 7 rupees, 10 rupees, but it still incentivizes people like us to carry a cloth bag or
Correct.
not spend to buy that paper bag. So I think these are initiatives where you see the move happening from plastic to paper, but paper too coming at a cost. So these are, I think, measures which have made a difference, which have incentivized us that when we go to these stores, carry cloth bags, carry your own bag even. So
So only one point to add, Shilpi, is it works well with such shops, but what about the roadside vendors and whether any sort of awareness
yes,
measures are to be created? Because most of them I find a flower vendor or a thing,
yeah.
they immediately pick up the bag. Sometimes we will have to insist that I have a bag, or sometimes they just try to avoid if there is a someone scrutinizing that kind of a thing. So I think more needs to be done with that
For that
sector
level, yeah.
also. Well, that
Correct.
is where some more of this damages happen, might be.
Correct, yeah.
In fact, many states have actually implemented some of these rules very successfully. Tamil Nadu did try, but somehow it could not be carried forward. Okay, how can businesses be encouraged to adopt biodegradable or reusable options? Okay, cellulose-based plastics or any biodegradable form should be mainstreamed and encouraged. Of course, subject to their barrier properties and their properties. If they can match both the price and the properties, I think the shift will happen. So your comments.
Is that addressed to me?
No, I think anybody. I mean, these are all open questions.
See, I think reusable is a great way going forward, right? And so again, I think also touching upon what Ms. Saraswati Madam also mentioned about the flower wala and different stratas of society. So there was a McKinsey report about a year back that divides India into 3 categories, which is India 1, India 2, and India 3, right? So just to get a brief understanding of what an India 1 is, India 1 is probably an India with about 50 lakh plus annual salaries, and then India 2 is about 10 lakhs to 50 lakh in that range, and India 1 is below 5 or 10 lakhs in that range, you see. And the products for each of this today manufacturers of all products make products based on, they know exactly who they are selling to. Is it the India 1, India 2, or India 6, right? And when you come to waste management also, we need to create systems that categorizes to India 1, India 2, and India 3, right? So reusable solutions right now are getting popular in the India 1 category, where my household, we have a subscription service that ensures that the liquid detergents in the house for cleaning, for seeing all come from reusable packing solution, right? But is it possible for everybody? Is it possible for my driver and his family to get into that service? No, I don't think it's possible, because there's economic feasibility to it as well. So similarly, as time goes in, I think sometimes today with small scale products, I think it's very important to understand for a lot of solution makers that this product, for it to survive and build an economy of scale, the category or the target audience that you are approaching, should be very clear. Because most times what happens, waste management, we forget that there is a huge divide in this our country, and there's a customer segment division is very, very large, and we have one policy for all customer segments. That does not work, and I think that's something which you need to come into waste management at government level, policy level, and everywhere.
In fact, I have one question from Mr. Matthew Jose. I wanted to know what exactly happens in category 3. Are they really able to recycle a let's say a Tetra Pak, which is a 7-layer laminate consisting of paper to plastics to aluminum foil, is it really recyclable? This co-extruded as well.
Yeah. So, in honest opinion, today what's happening is the truth is that it is getting collected, right? Definitely getting collected. It has been extruded into making plastic boards, like the boards, like it will come like a plywood board, like 8x4 plywood board, so you can make a plastic board with it, right? And today it's been pushed through CSR projects into different schools across the country, right? This is the honest economics of this thing. Nobody's ready to buy it. Like, for example, I was recently doing a renovation of my house, and the plastic boards did not appeal to my aesthetic requirement, right? You have certain aesthetic needs when you have a when you do a home renovation, right? Maybe, and that's somebody who I'm in this industry, being in the industry, working in the industry, knowing about this industry, right? I couldn't get a plastic board that appeals to my need, plus aesthetic requirement, right? So yes, is it a good path to show? Yes, but is this the solution? No. Over time, there needs to be better solutions in which how MLP can be handled and managed. And yeah, but I think the framework that we have today in EPR ensures that we will be able to do it in the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. Maybe works for category 1 and 2, but category 3 to reuse a certain portion of it into your new product, maybe a little. I mean, it doesn't look feasible.
Yeah, but what I'm coming inside, the chaos is good. The chaos is good, so that chaos leads to clarity, right? So yeah.
Okay, there's a question about what is the minimum thickness micron allowed in industrial flexible packaging plastics. Anyone can answer that.
I'm not too sure about that because that's a very specific plastic packaging question. So I'm not. It's an industrial scale as well. I'm not too sure about the answer. Yeah. Anyone, so Venkatesh or anyone would know that.
You have any idea, Shilpi?
No, ma'am, I was actually about to check for industrial packaging. I'm also not sure. But I mean, should be available on the website of CPC.
Okay, we will find out and let Mr. Rajesh know about it.
Yeah. I just wanted to add one more point to Matthew's, your points about the aesthetics linked to the board. So if, say, a company like IKEA comes forward and starts using such boards, I think that will add more credibility also and can turn that around into something with a more aesthetic, which is stronger aesthetic appeal, can also make a difference. So that's where larger brands, they could come forward to adopt, I mean, give their name to such products that can certainly increase the market also.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely, and we hope that will happen in the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
But in today's day and age, there's a technological gap there, which is a larger issue because, for example, for IKEA to produce a certain quality output, there needs to be a certain quality in the plastic that is inputted, and the standardization of that plastic thing that ensures the quality of the product's output. So what happens with MLP? It's coming from multiple locations, so there's no standardization in the input. So when in a machinery outlay, when there's no standardization in the input, it's very difficult to create a standardization in the output, right? So that is becoming the challenge. Actually, what you're saying is perfectly right. Like if an IKEA can pour in a lot of money, a lot of them are actually putting a lot of money into this as well. So it's because I think like the framework makes sure that companies already have a budget for this right now, and I think it's very important for their survival of the future because like say for example, a company like Coke, their biggest two budgets are the plastic and the water, right? And that's the key. If the sustenance of if plastic doesn't exist and water is not there, the company cannot exist, right? So all these companies definitely have to they are really invested into it to figure out the sustainable pathway forward. But there is a technology gap today that needs to ensure the this when there's an inconsistent input, how do you get a consistent output? So that needs to be matched.
In fact, there's one answer for the minimum microns is 120 microns is one answer from Srikant Narayan Rao. That's one of the answers for the industrial micron thickness, minimum micron thickness for industrial plastics.
Yeah, we also checked, it shows so. We will reconfirm probably with the authorities and let you know. Yeah, even my team checked and that's what is available. hopefully that should be the right answer. We will recheck anyway.
I think there are a lot of comments on the chat box about the excellent presentations, and that's what we've been through. The 3 presentations from real experts in these fields have really opened our minds. In fact, as I would like to say, we had no notion about the ocean and that the fact that we are all at sea. Even Marina Trench having that kind of plastics is something which is really amazing. And also Dr. Shilpi Kapoor about the various aspects of managing plastics around the environment. And Mr. Matthew Jose, who has actually taken it practically and shown that this and demonstrated that there is a lot of recycling of plastics and the way forward for at least recycling a whole lot of them. And one thing which I really have been saying, which Dr. Shilpi Kapoor also talked about, is education at the school level. In fact, I always say that our generation has come in messed up in the planet. I think education at the school level, the awareness, because if you travel across India, there are many states which are doing far better in waste management, including Indore, Bhopal, Sikkim. You go to Meghalaya and so on and so forth. Even Kerala, a neighboring state, even Vizag, if you see. So how come the same Indians are behaving differently across various parts of the country? So it's a lesson for all of us that it can be implemented. A lot of things can be done. And I think the speakers have really highlighted the way forward. And thanks to all the speakers for sparing their time and giving us a wonderful exposure to this aspect on World Environment Day.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I join Venkat's advisor here to thank all the 3 speakers. Dr. Venkatesan, you have also listed what probably the chamber can do going forward. So I have just made a note. We will see how much of that is possible, but we'll definitely try to work on that. And I think Shilpi, we have been interacting with the EMC for quite long, and we are working on this circular economy concepts. And I'm seeing a lot of that is now getting into action. At least more awareness is coming at the state level also. I understand Tamil Nadu has formed a separate sort of a group for circular economy things for the state. So we would definitely work with you, continue to work with you on that. And Matthew, I think I know you from your younger days. So both of us are getting old. Thank you for e-meeting again. It's nice meeting you again. Because I remember our first interaction was with on a plastic subject way back, maybe 2011, as you said, should have been that back. And of course, a lot of things are happening. A lot more need to be done. I think one is the civic sense and the responsibility that really has to be emphasized well in all our activities. All of us have that responsibility. And as Venkat say, almost all of us are experiencing that the younger generation are at least a little more conscious. Sometimes they stop us, and that's really good. But we, again, as Matthew pointed out very rightly, we have different layers. India, as a country, it's a very, very challenging thing. We have different layers, so many divides. So a one size fit all may not work. So we really have to think about different solutions, different education, awareness creation for this subject especially. And as a chamber, we would like to have more discussions continued, maybe a more roundtable, and maybe we also should document, as you say, what different states or different countries, some of the best practices. Probably Venkat, going forward, we should think about bringing a small handbook, at least what could be done or some of the best practices we can see. I think most of you, Shilpi pointed out, Matthew said, and Dr. Venkatesan, maybe we'll continue to work with all of you on that and see whether some sort of a booklet, at least as a education material, what some of the best practices either within the country or outside the country. And I think some of the policy level initiatives have also to be driven well, because we know it's cost aspect, plastics, reuse plastics or substituting plastics are not going well with many of the things. So somewhere some incentivizing has to happen, some tax rebate or some sort of a thing. So we will try to work more on that, discuss with you, carry forward the discussion. And a big thanks to all the 3 of you for having joined. And big thanks to the participants as well, and definitely word of thanks to Venkat and my team.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you
In
so
fact,
much.
One
Yes.
minute, I will just
yeah,
add.
yeah, just
Yes,
interesting.
Venkat. Yes,
Sorry.
Venkatesh
Yeah, I
sir.
will add with what Dr. Shilpi said. We recently organized last Friday in Anna University a student competition sort of thing on plastic waste and disposal. Amazing to see one of the school kid from Velamal. She brought out a working model of plastic waste getting burnt and that in electricity being produced by solar panel, and also the exhaust what is coming out has been captured. It is a simple working model, and all the components are made from CPU from the old computer. Amazing to see the fan and everything. So there is a potential, there is an awareness, and I'm sure that the days to come, they will come with a proper solution for the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We are hopeful of that. Yes, Venkat,
Yeah.
you wanted to say something?
Interesting. Somebody had suggested that we dump all these plastics into outer space. I think we'll have to take Elon Musk's help on this particular part of it.
Not sure whether that's the right time to do that. Anyway, thank you so very much. Thanks, everyone. Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
Have a good
Great
Thank
evening.
you.
to you.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much.
Thanks.
Thank you.